welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, the operators of the Integrated Customs Management System at the port. It's also brought to you by Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed, the show is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. The show is streaming live on our social media panels, and on Facebook, you can watch us live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, you can watch us live at Iron Port Ghana. Iron Port Ghana. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. And so if you want to have a grasp of all that's transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. As usual, we shall be getting interactive with you. As a matter of fact, what you have to do is to send your messages ahead via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559 019 177 0559 019 177. Now, when I pick signals from my production team that the time is ripe, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We're going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue with the show. Thanks for staying.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. My money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My
Mps Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
You're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the local port and shipping industry. And in the course of the week, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders had the opportunity to be schooled by authorities from AFTA on, what they need to know about AFTA. Please, let's take a look at these stories and more.
Members of the Tema chapter of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders have undergone a 3-day workshop on the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement to provide them with the requisite capacity so they can execute their roles well as trade facilitators in this new era of trade. The Ghana Revenue Authority collaborated with German International Corporation GIZ as facilitators for the sensitization workshop. The freight forwarders were taken through the various tenets of the trade, especially the rules of origin component. After consultant Dode Seidu noted that the sensitization is also critical to leverage on freight forwarders to educate potential importers and exporters under the free trade.
So what we expect, or what we know the freight forwarders will be able to do now, is that they'll be in a very good position to advise their clients, importers and exporters, as to the market opportunities that African countries provide. They will also be very, very helpful when it comes to being able to lead their clients in the right direction. It also provides them the opportunity as freight forwarders themselves to understand the market opportunities that will enable them to be able to set up or work with other freight forwarders in other countries. It will also help them to be able to relate with customs very, very well, because freight forwarders work with customs almost every day.
He said that freight forwarders should not feel threatened against the backdrop that it is not mandatory across board for the services of a customs broker under the AFTA.
What the agreement just said was that it is not necessarily like across the board to make it mandatory. So freight forwarders should continue to provide their services. They should specialize. They should improve on their capacity, like what they just did, and by attending this program, and then be able to network with other freight forwarders in other countries so that they can extend their services beyond the borders of this country.
The Tema chairman of GIF, forwarder Johnny Mante, called for continued sensitization of the freight forwarding fraternity, considering their indispensable role in trade and logistics.
We are freight forwarders. We move trade all over the world, and we've trained ourselves. We've gained every capacity that we require. There are certain technical areas that there is no other person that can handle that apart from us. So it's something that they've mentioned that customs brokers will not require. I guess it's region per region. It is difficult. There are certain technical areas that, regardless of who you are, you cannot delve into that area. So we are continuing to gain capacity. We are continuing to train our members to have the capacity that they require.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry globally.
The International Maritime Organization has marked the first ever International Day for Women in Maritime to provide a platform to highlight and celebrate the achievements of women in maritime and identify areas of improvement for gender balance. It will be marked every 18th of May. This year's occasion was marked with a virtual symposium, the release of a Women in Maritime report, and a social media campaign. IMO also revealed an iconic new logo to mark the occasion. The symposium highlighted the need for women to be more visible throughout the sector as a whole, more widely represented at decision-making levels, and better supported through appropriate skills development. The IMO Secretary General Kita Klim revealed that his outfit is keen on gender diversity as a key strategy to obtain the Sustainable Development Goals.
It's not about your gender. It is about what you can do. At IMO, through training, visibility, recognition, we aim to support a barrier-free working environment for women in maritime. Let's work to break down barriers and ensure that we create a work environment that is enabling, supportive, and inclusive of diverse participation by all, without hindrance in the maritime community.
In a related development, the International Maritime Organization and the Women in Shipping and Trading Association have launched a Women in Maritime Survey report. The report, launched on the first IMO International Day for Women in Maritime, contains information about the proportion and distribution of women working in the maritime sector from IMO member states and the maritime industry. The data demonstrates that women account for only 29% of the overall workforce in the general industry and 20% of the workforce of national maritime authorities in member states. The report highlights great variation among individual subsectors. According to data gathered from member states, women participation in search and rescue teams of national maritime authorities accounts for just 10% as compared to female diplomats, which accounts for 33%, and training staff, which accounts for 30%. Industry data shows that women seafarers make up just 2% of the crewing workforce and are predominantly found in the cruise sector, while in ship-owning companies, they are made up of 34% of the workforce. The Maritime Executive has reported that predictions are growing throughout the shipping industry of renewed disruptions, backlogs, and even possibly chaos as China works to ramp up operations at Shanghai and resume manufacturing and supply chain operations after the 8-week lockdown due to its zero-tolerance COVID-19 policy. Vessel diversions increased rapidly starting in mid-April, resulting in a growing amount of export cargo not shipped. And now the restart in operations is expected to come just as the shipping industry traditionally moves towards a peak season as retailers build inventories for the end of the summer and the holiday season sales in the US and Europe.
All right, so you all come back. It's now time for us to zoom into our discussion proper tonight. Our discussion is twofold. One, we're taking a look at the role of port security in trade facilitation. Now, when you import your goods in the port, you realize that the port authority will have to take absolute responsibility for your goods to ensure that they are protected, they are secure, they are safe. Now, the Port of Tema or the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has invested heavily in digital penetration. That is kind of like technology. And so tonight, and the security department, for one, is one of the units or departments in the port that has seen massive, injection of, technology, digitalization, so to speak. And so we want to find out what their role is in trade facilitation this evening. Now, the second topic would have to do with the tariff reduction, how it impacts after the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement or area. And you saw the local story that we played earlier, which featured Mr. Dod Sedu, who is an AFTA consultant. We shall be bringing him in the studios tonight. Later, after, our security deputy manager, who is in the studios with me, leaves the studio. And so we are going for the first discussion, our very first topic, which is the role of the port security in trade facilitation at the port. And so with me in the studios tonight is Mr. Samuel Ajete, who is Deputy Security Manager, Port of Tema, in charge of operations. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
Yes, my intro. I just, got them to be aware that you have injected a lot of, technology into your operations, digitalization and all that. And we just want to find out from you if you can give us a mental picture of what the setup is in the port as far as security is concerned at the moment.
In terms of the security structure in the
Absolutely,
port, yes. The GPHA security has a strategic role to provide effective security in the port and its immediate environs for the conduct of maritime business. From that backdrop, it means we run the day-to-day security of the port. We do the access controls to all the GPHA facilities and then all gates that we have, both vehicular and pedestrian. We do physical protection of cargo, as you mentioned.
When it's access control, it means those that are coming and going out.
Both in and out.
Yeah.
We control all, both in and out, vehicular and pedestrian. We protect the cargo that comes to the port, including facilities in the port. We do sort of surveillance, surveillance to ensure we detect and prevent crime in the port. We do traffic controls within the port and its enclave to ensure free flow of traffic for business to go on smoothly.
Right.
And then we do some intelligence gathering that aids decision making also. Also, all GPHA bylaws, we ensure we enforce them to ensure sanity in the port. However, we have other security agencies in the port that assist in their own mandates, one way or the other, to ensure total security of the port.
Right.
We have the customs, we have a GIS, which is Ghana Immigration Service,
Yeah.
we have Marine Police, we have NIB, which is National Investigation Bureau, we have NACOC, which is the JPCU, we have the Navy, and even to extent the military where necessary.
Right.
The military. So that is how the structure of the security in the port looks like.
And you collaborate with all these that you mentioned: Customs, Ghana Immigration Service, Marine Police, NACOB, and then the Navy. You collaborate with all of them.
We collaborate with all of them in one way or the other. We collaborate, with
Do you
all
play
of
the same role, or you have unique roles that you play?
We don't play the same role. That is what I'm saying. In their own mandate, all these agencies have their mandates
Right.
that establish them. For example, customs.
Yeah.
When it comes to collecting tax for the government, so where issues come up and then it involves collecting tax,
Yeah.
we get customs involved to
Right.
ensure that. So that is how it goes. That is
Okay. All right. So I want to find out what role you play in the clearance chain, because that's the heart of operations at the port. People visit the port to clear their goods, to clear their cargo.
Yeah.
And I know you have a unique role that you play in the clearance chain. Can you walk us through that?
Yes. GPHA are custodians of cargo that come to the port. And we know these lines bring the cargoes, that is shipping lines. GRE, just as we mentioned,
Customs,
will collect taxes for the government.
Yes.
So our role basically, after ensuring shipping lines have got their freight, customs taking their tax, GPHA handled the cargo. So there are charges in respect of the handling. So our role at the gate is to ensure that those handling charges are paid to the authority. So it is kind of assurance to GPHA, as revenue assurance, ensuring that all taxes or all charges due GPHA have been paid, duly paid,
Right.
before cargo goes. In a way, also, it is ensuring that people will not come and pick others' cargo that will end up in claims and put burden on GPHA's revenue. So that is.
Okay, so people picking up other people's cargo, that means that perhaps there's a mix-up, and I import some goods, another person brings in some other cargo, and then perhaps I go and take somebody else's cargo, and it leaves, and then they will surcharge the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Is that what you're saying?
That could happen. That we call cross delivery, when marks and numbers seem to be alike, and then care is not taken. It may happen somebody will come and pick others' cargo and go.
Marks and numbers.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
That is what identifies a cargo from the other.
What distinguishes a cargo from
If it's about container, every container has an address. So your container has an address, the other person's container has a different address. It's never the same.
Right.
So let me say, in the course of checks, there's a mishap and a letter or a number is changed. It may happen that that cargo may go to another person instead of the rightful owner. That happens at times.
Yes.
And there is the other side where persons can, in a way, try, falsify, manipulate documents in a bid to outwit the security system in the port.
Yes.
To get the cargo out. That is where, when we are not careful, the persons will come, because we hold custody of the cargo. That GPHA, where's my cargo?
Yes.
So I'm claiming. That's where claims come.
Right.
So that is our being at the gate, is to forestall these events and ensure that cargoes go to the right person.
Now, you just made mention of manipulation of documents and all that. How rampant is this phenomenon?
How
rampant?
Lately, with the introduction of the digitization of the processes, I think it's far better, and I I don't remember the last time this happened. Formerly, used to, where everything goes paper.
Yeah.
Yes, used to.
So when the port was heavily dependent or reliant on manual transactions.
Manual, everything paper. It used to, people used to, but in fact with the digitization, I think it's better now.
Okay.
Yes.
And for a long time now, you haven't registered any such?
No. It's once a while, especially this our CDI, the cash delivery invoice. You see one or two freight guys who try, and that is even down to the importer. What they do is that after we have issued, they generate their own and produce their own charges to the owner. Yes, which later maybe when the owner tries to investigate and come to our fold, we're able to detect. At times, our men also at the revenue desk also are able to detect them.
Right.
Yes, that is one or two. But by and large, I think the digitization has helped in forestalling these fraudulent deals in the port.
A great deal.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a bit curious. And when this trend was quite, happening in the port, what used to be the way out? If you find somebody culpable of this particular offense, or perhaps,
trying to
falsifying documents, trying to circumvent the system, trying to kind of like beat the system, were there procedures you take the fellow through, recalcitrant or intransigent people, to punish them?
Of course.
To serve as deterrent?
When these things are detected, we GPHA, we take the initiative. We do some interrogation, look at the documents, because we need to find out the modus and then try and forestall. So we do some investigation about the whole issue, the documents and whatever. And then when we are done, it is a criminal offense. We don't push it to police.
Right.
For prosecution, further investigation and necessary prosecution. That is how we handle it.
All right. Okay, so I know that recently, that's with regards to access and control of, access to the port. And, I know ACVL has started a program, a policy where they are registering all vehicles entering the port and all that. What's your role in that particular, policy?
Once it's about trucks, that means, because we are at the access point, we control the access. So definitely that comes directly under our doorstep. And then we are seriously involved in whatever they are doing as to the implementation and ensuring that project goes on and goes on well.
Right.
Everything lies on us. And that is how it's going. We are at the forefront. We have some training from them, almost all the staff, which we finished recently. And then we are waiting for when it will take off. But we've been having some pilot runs on the project. Yes.
All right. So, like you mentioned, we see your men, sharply and neatly dressed, at the various points in the port, the gates, exit points, and all that. What exactly do you ask them to look out for?
Yes, I mentioned that we control the accesses to the
Yes.
ports. So when you talk about gates, gates is about access to and through the port. We have the vehicle entries, the pedestrian entries, the vehicle exits, and then cargo exits.
Right.
Our roles at the gate, let me see, a vehicle entry is to search first, to check.
Yes.
Because we want to ensure vehicles entering the port, either saloons or trucks,
Yes.
have business to do with us in the port. And what requires or has the necessary permits it takes for them to enter. So it is checks that we do on them to ensure. After that, we ensure we search those vehicles. By searching the vehicles, we want to ensure that unauthorized persons are not hiding in the trucks or in the vehicles to enter the port for their own personal business. Contrabands are not getting into the port.
Right.
Pedestrian, we also go through the IDs, all in a bid to ensure authorized persons only enters the port. We search packages. If you should have any bag or whatever packages, we search the same way to ensure you don't carry contraband or otherwise into the port. Exits, go through the same search to ensure, prevent pilfering, because you might have gone to take somebody's thing. Ensure people don't carry on customs cargo out of the port. So our being at the access point to ensure all this in a bid to ensure security for the smooth running of the maritime business in the port.
In the port.
Yes.
All right. So I just want to, can you walk us through the procedures that one will have to go through if I want to have access to the port? Who should qualify to have access to the port, and what are the procedures the fellow must pass through before the fellow can be granted access?
Yes, that depends on the business that you are coming to do in the port. So let me take it, if you are an agent and then you want to have access to the port, you might not have your bond that shows that you've been licensed by customs to do your clearing. Because you will have to go through monitoring department, pick a form, and license yourself to operate in the port
as a port user,
as a clearing agent, particular business. So those documents will require your bond, your company registration forms, your SNIT, your tax clearance, and those things. And when certified, then you pay a fee per the business that you are doing. Then GPHA will license you to operate. Then after that, you can apply to the port security manager with your license for all the accesses that you have in vehicles or persons that are in the business and will need to come to the port to conduct business. So that is the process it goes before you are able to, if, let me say you are an agent. It depends on the business that
you have to do in the port. All right, so I have used the port. I mean, most of the time we enter there, we come out, and I even have the sticker, you know, but your men are so strict that they have to scrutinize. They'll ask you to open your boot, they go there, inspect, and then they come, they inspect other, the glove compartment and all that, and they say, okay. And when you are coming out, the exit, the same thing applies. And so I think that on that one, yes, you are on point.
Yes.
You are seriously on point.
Ensuring that the person entering the port has a legitimate business to do in the port. Ensuring that he's not carrying any contraband into the port. When you are coming out, the same. Ensuring that he's not carrying something which is not covered by any document. Meaning he might or may have taken it from somewhere and eventually may end up as a claim to GPHA. So ensuring all that. Ensuring that you are not carrying any custom cargo, cargo that you need to pay that tax to the government. You are not finding means to take them out of the port. So that is what we do at the both ends to ensure sanity in the port.
I'm just being a bit curious, Mr. Ajete. I know there's a duty-free shop in the port. Who qualifies to shop there?
In fact, the duty-free shop is meant for the sailors. Because it's not meant to come outside the port.
Exactly. I asked this question because you said somebody might bring out uncustomed, cargo. And so somebody might walk into the port, notice that there's a duty-free shop, walk in there, make some purchases, and perhaps at the gate, the fellow might be intercepted and say, hey, this you can't take out.
Yes, of course, when you buy, especially in quantities, commercial. If it's you enter there, pick one or two that you are drinking, fine. But to buy in quantities, of course, we know that duties have not been paid on those cargo, so you cannot take them out.
Absolutely.
If you want, that means you have to go through the custom process and pay your duty and take it out. So those, whatever we have in the duty free, is meant for the port or for the vessels.
Okay. So now let's come to technology and, how the port is leveraging on technology to enhance security surveillance. I know there's one thing that you are doing seriously as the security department in the port. Walk us through that.
GPHA is currently going through digitization that we know of various areas, which includes the security department. This includes our CCTV cameras, which quite recently have been upgraded seriously. We have, I think, I hear one of along the West African corridor, one of the best control rooms that you can get. Yes. We having about 210 cameras covering the port.
Wow.
Yes. And then we still have about 80, 90 on standby, still looking at areas to deploy them. Yes. Currently, the new jetty, we still deploy about 20 at the new jetty currently.
Yes.
GJT, we have mapped about 15 locations, which are blind spots that we're still going to put them. Headquarters, head office are also enjoying the CCTV.
Right.
And the cameras there have facial identity recognition.
Right.
It means that those cameras, when you pass and it picks you, it's taking pictures, photos of you in this archive.
Right.
That's when something should happen.
You can play back.
Yes, you are just going to pick pictures and then its retention period. The retention period for the footage that we pick is about 90 days.
Right.
Which is one of
before it goes off the system.
Yes, of the systems. Apart from the CCTV, we have body-worn cameras that we are using.
Body-worn?
Body-worn cameras. Body-worn
Okay.
cameras, yes, that we use.
Okay.
Yes, which we use in our operations. Currently, some of our men have been trained in drone operations.
Yes.
Which is also coming on board. That we're going to also use drones to enhance the surveillance of the port.
Right.
So you could see there's a lot of in terms of our surveillance.
I think I was fortunate to be part of that training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we have a wide surveillance in terms of technology to see all that happens in the port and then try, detect, prevent, kind of give advices or whatever to the authority and any related stakeholder.
All right. So in your assessment, 210 cameras deployed so far across the port and 80 to 90 still on standby, and you are examining where to place them.
Yes. Currently, out of that, 20 is being deployed at the new jetty. We map out about 15 locations at GJT that we're going to deploy. The rest are still there. What happens is that there are blind spots.
Yeah.
Some happens out of audits, when we do audits or exercises.
Yeah.
Some also happens when incidences happen. Then you realize there's a blind spot somewhere. So quickly, we use it to cover that place. So that is what currently we are doing on the CCTV.
All right. So I know that GPHA is ISO certified, and all the units try as much as possible to comply with the standards as far as ISO is concerned. Now, if you take a look at the numbers, 210 deployed and still have this much waiting, is that a standard? Is that what it is? Or you think that we are still lagging behind?
I don't think it depends.
More so if you have knowledge of what is happening, what pertains in other ports in our sub-region, do you think that we are, apt?
Yes, I think it depends on your area of operation. It is not about the numbers because there are areas where they may deploy less than that, but still may be able to cover all blind spots areas. That if there should be anything to be identified or detected. So I believe it's not about the numbers. It's about how broad the port is, and then how you ensure all other areas are covered under the CCTV.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to find out from you how you are able to motivate your personnel to diligently discharge their duties. We operate in a system where, like you rightly mentioned earlier, people try to circumvent the system, they try to beat the system, they try to cheat. And if you don't have men who are strong-willed and disciplined and professional in their approach to duty, the likelihood that they can be bought over, so to speak, by some players in the industry is very high. What are some of the things you are doing to ensure that they live up to the billing or their calling as port security staff?
Okay. We thrive on core values, which is discipline, endurance, teamwork, integrity, and professionalism. And from that backdrop, we ensure that we strive to uphold the discipline in the discharge of our duties. First comes from our training, the way we are engaged. We go through basic military training.
Right.
So already we expect some discipline instilled in us.
Sure.
Apart from that, when we come, GPHA, I think we all know that's well when it comes to training. Takes us through a lot of training in building certain capacities that we may need
Right.
in the course of our training. Then also we do internal training. Our own self, we train ourselves in terms of our SOPs and what to do at our various places. And this is done basically when we come to deploy ourselves a master parade every shift.
Right.
We talk to ourselves to ensure. Then also supervision. Both officers and men visiting men at their various places from time to time to ensure they are adhering to the laid down SOPs. Yes. But in all this, we don't hold on to somebody who is recalcitrant. If from time we're telling you and still you are not trying to uphold to these values, we reprimand. Yes, that as a discipline unit, we don't spare. We take you through necessary process. If what's done need to be reprimanded, we do that. So this is basically what we do to ensure our men are on their feet and they're doing. Of course, the staff that also holds themselves up high, we commend them. Sometimes we write to management for their commitment or whatever.
Right.
Show.
All right, so can you tell us your staff strength, your numbers, security department?
Staff strength currently, I know it's 700 plus.
Okay.
That won't be specific, but 7
Right.
plus.
That's just for the Port of Tema?
Yes, Port of Tema, 7
Right.
plus. But don't forget, the port structure itself is dynamic. And then that is why, currently we've changed from the shift that we're running to 4 gantry shift system.
Sure. Yes.
That has made the number up to that,
Absolutely.
that level.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so I know the issue of stowaway used to be something that you were grappling with as port, and we just want to find out from you, now that the security features in the port have been enhanced and you seem to be in control of the situation, what's the situation like? How are you able to deal with these issues as and when they come?
Stowaway has been issue that we battled with some years back. It became serious and the numbers became alarming. And it's an issue that had to do with image of a port.
Yeah.
So quickly we had to sit and strategize. And then the strategy put in place was to create another level of security between the vessel and the port interface.
Yeah.
So apart from the checks at the gate, before you get to a vessel, there's another level of security that you have to go through before you're able to get onto the vessel, just to ensure that the unauthorized, which may be the stowaway, will not have access to the vessel.
Right.
And that has yielded positive results because it came and then the numbers dropped to the extent, let me see, from 2020, we foiled about 6 attempts. Six attempts.
Okay.
Through these measures put in place.
Right.
We were able to foil about 6 attempts, but about 13 persons were disembarked. They are not stowaways from here. They stowed away from different ports, and then were just disembarked here for onward repatriation to their various countries. 2021, there was no stowaway issue from here. And then we disembarked 2 from different countries. 2022, as we have started, there's not been any issue of stowaway, either from here or from outside.
Okay.
So our measures in place are working well, and they are stringent, and makes it difficult for persons to get on board. However, what we are offering now also is that we have tracking dogs, trailing and tracking dogs that we use in room-aging vessels.
Right.
So currently, it is not all vessels. It's on request. We use the dogs to conduct room-aging on the vessels to ensure no person is hiding somewhere
right.
and be to stow away to.
All right.
Another country.
Okay, so Ghana's waters have been described by many players in the shipping industry as one of the safest in the sub-region, and that is why many vessels would want to come here and wait until their time is due, and then they leave our shores for their various destinations and all that.
Yeah.
What is it that you are doing right?
I will start from commitment. I think it's commitment and dedication. And this has to go into the regular patrols that we do on our waters. We patrol as a team, which involves the Navy and even Marine Police.
Right.
Yeah, regular patrols. These patrols also ensure that from the port control, we ensure every vessel that is at anchorage is gazetted. It's known by port control. So that is part of the things that we do when we go out there, to ensure all vessels there are on our gazette.
Right.
And we are here. If you happen to see any vessel, which is quickly, we call for its arrest and find out. Then also, I think it is the strong support from the Navy.
Right.
From the Navy, that goes as far as the high seas. We are limited to the anchorage, but they go as far as the high seas. I think from this backdrop, that gives us that security
leverage,
on our anchorage, that people who have to even come and wait till they attend, they move out to other.
Right. So, what level of collaboration do you expect from people who do business in the ports?
Yes. In fact, port is a national asset, strategic asset. And then for each smooth running, I think we all must also contribute in a way. It's a shared responsibility, security, as we say.
Absolutely.
And as we expect our stakeholders to be vigilant and security conscious, and note abnormalities and report things which are not normal, things that they see and seem not right.
Right.
You don't see something, say something. Yeah. Then we advise persons to watch persons' behavioral patterns or persons that they think are not known in the system, and all of a sudden
they appear.
Need to report such persons for us. Also packages that they see that seem not
that looks suspicious,
okay, very suspicious. Quickly they need to report for that to be investigated. There are concessions that they have. Some of the stakeholders, they need to provide their own security there.
Right.
Not fully reliance on us, because we have a broader spectrum. So and then that is their personal security. They need to look at that too. We also expect that stakeholders should accept the ongoing changes, the digitalization going on. One is what you mentioned, the ACVL.
Yeah.
That they should accept and roll on it.
Right.
So it is good. It's going to help the port and help all of us.
Yeah.
Help them, especially the drivers, the ACVL. Yes, make you kind of a maintenance culture, create that culture, maintain your car and ensure that always is in good shape to carry cargo from the port. Then also the e-tolling that we are trying to go through now. We expect they accept it and roll on it and use it for their benefit.
Right.
But we are also looking at an appointment system to put all this together. You told the ACVL that it will be one system so that make things easier.
Right.
The moment you get an appointment, you have the ACVL certification, you buy your tool, you can easily move the ports. Right. Just like we see at MPS, Terminal 3. Yes. Then we expect understanding and cooperation from stakeholders, especially when security is performing. At times, they want their comfort. So they feel, why are you asking me to get down for me to search and all those? And we expect them to understand and allow us to work.
Absolutely.
All that we are doing is for all of us to ensure the safety of the port for Ghana and for all of us.
Right.
So this is what we expect from our stakeholders.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Samuel Ajeta is the Deputy Security Manager, Port of Tema, in charge of operations. We've been discussing the role of port security in trade facilitation. And you heard him. The Port of Tema is a very safe place for you to come and do business. They are up to 210 CCTV cameras deployed across the port, with 80 and 90 still on standby, waiting to be deployed to various vantage points or positions in the port to ensure absolute security. We couldn't have had it better. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you.
People, we are going for a break. When we come back, we'll zoom into our second discussion for the night. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
Mps Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. We're zooming into the second discussion for tonight, and that has to do with the tariff reduction on AFTA, the impact. Now, it's our craving, it's our quest that we get countries who have ratified the agreement to zoom into action and to begin to do things the right way. Ghana, we've been told, has done so well. We've gone so far But what about our neighbors, those who have also ratified but are not pulling their weight? Now, I want to find out what the impact of this particular tariff reduction is on these countries and what they stand to benefit or gain as far as the tariff reduction is concerned. And so tonight, like I announced earlier, we have Mr. Dodi Sedu. Mr. Dodi Sedu is an AFTA consultant with the Frontier Market Advisors. You saw his story earlier on. That was the local story we brought to you at the beginning of the show. And so we're going to be discussing with him what we want to be doing to ensure that we move forward as far as this tariff reduction on AFTA is concerned. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening, Bernard.
Kennedy is a politician.
Yeah, I think that's the conflict you always face. People will swap your first name, but
yes.
Good evening.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you indeed. You're welcome. Now, let me find out from you. You were recently at the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, where you run them through some of the programs that you're running at after what they need to do, what they can benefit, how they can benefit and all that. Can you run us through some of the highlights of that particular program or workshop that you held for them? You were the main speaker there.
Yes, thank you for that. So for 3 days, we were with the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Tema District, working with the chairman, Johnny Mante. Johnny Mante. I want to also recognize Pauline, Romeo, and a couple of others who helped us to run a 3-day program under the auspices of GIZ. The main idea was to train or sensitize freight forwarders on the Afc Fta, specifically on the agreement itself, on the protocols, especially relevant to trade, trading goods, look at the concessions, the rules of origin, and the practical steps and the role that freight forwarders would play in facilitating trade. So that was the main overview of that training.
Taking a look at their demeanor during the sessions, did you have a feeling that they appreciate and have a grasp of what you're trying to get them to understand and how they can take advantage of this agreement or this area?
Yes. So first of all, the interest and participation of the freight forwarders was very, very encouraging. They really were very keen, had more questions, and so the time allotted was not enough to exhaust most of the topics, especially when it comes to rules of origin, when it comes to aspects as to the protocol on trading goods. So we've promised them that we will come back for another time for another session on that. But I think in terms of interest, it was very, very strong, and we look forward to the collaboration.
Right. So let me tell you, can you give us a brief on the state of AFTA at the moment as we sit here? So you've been there from day one, and each step of the way you are there.
Yes, I'm an Afc Fta enthusiast, just like other people, and so been following the developments. As we speak now, we are roughly 1 year, 6 months. I mean, come June will be 1 year, 6 months into the implementation of the Afc Fta. What we've seen so far has been, one, the number of countries that have ratified. So out of the 54 African countries, 43 have ratified. That's the first one. The second aspect is that we've seen increased convergence or agreement on the rules of origin. And the rules of origin, I think you had me here the last time talk about, are the conditions and terms for movement of goods across the border. So we've had 88% agreement on that. And of course, what it meant is that we have some outstanding products that are yet to have agreement on by the respective African countries. So in terms of the status, I mean, protocol on trading goods, that is what I would say. When it comes to services trade, yes, negotiations are also ongoing. Countries are providing the sectors that they would like to make commitments on. I think there are 5 sectors: communications, business services, transport, tourism. I forget the 5th one, but these are sectors that, financial services, the other one. So these are sectors that African countries are committing to open up for trade. And so that is a good development. I also know there have been meetings on the protocol on competition policy, intellectual property rights and investments. And so progress is being made there. And of course, the next phase will be the one on e-commerce and women, youth, and SMEs. So those are all still in the pipeline. I think, yes, people have been very expectant of the fact that the Afc Fta is a game changer, and so are expecting things to roll out quickly. As we speak, I haven't heard of any product specifically moving across the borders, but I know that countries have begun dismantling their tariffs, reducing their tariffs, of course, in accordance with the modalities set by the agreement. I also know that countries are making preparations. You know, it's a process. The process involves all the preparations that countries must do, the necessary forms and update of systems, the necessary, update of tariff concessions, and then also, maybe last but not the least, the level of preparation of the competent authorities, whether it's customs, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce, or any other institution that is involved in facilitating trade in the respective countries.
I just want to find out from you, what role does tariff reduction play in the scheme of things, or in this whole after arrangement?
So, in simple terms, there are two main challenges that have been identified to inhibit intra-Africa trade. Two main ones. The first one is the duties or the tariffs we meet when we import or export within Africa. That's the first one. And the second one is the level of non-tariff barriers, the number and the prevalence of policies, practices, and laws that those sometimes could be legitimate but impact trade negatively. So those we call the non-tariff barriers. So anything outside than the tariff, then it becomes a non-tariff barrier. So Afc Fta is addressing these two issues principally. So first issue is reduce the tariffs on 90% of products we import and export amongst ourselves. And then secondly, to also reduce the non-tariff barriers. So that is a significant step. Reducing the tariffs is a significant step because, like I said, it is the main thing you meet when you are exporting or importing within Africa. So if you were to send goods from here to maybe Kenya and you meet a tariff of, let's say, 20%, the Afc Fta is allowing it to maybe come to about 18%. So if you do your cost build-up for your product, you do your margins, and then, of course, you add freight and then the tariff, it would give you an idea of whether your product will be competitive in the market or not.
Okay, so I just want to find out from you how this tariff reduction will benefit, these countries that have ratified. You mentioned 43 countries at the moment out of 54.
Yes.
How are they going to benefit? What impact will it make to them in their quest to?
Yes, the benefit actually comes to the private sector largely. Of course, reducing the tariff basically means the country is going to forgo revenue. So in one respect, it has an impact on countries' revenues, the amount of money they will make from port taxes or import duties. So that is one, let's say, downside, but it's a temporary downside. The benefit to the countries that have ratified is the opportunity that it opens for their SMEs, their manufacturers, to be able to take advantage of markets outside those countries. So that's the principal benefit, the ability to be competitive in markets outside your region or outside your country.
All right. Now, some trade experts believe fears of significant tariff revenue losses and an uneven distribution of costs and benefits to reduce adjustment costs and attain the full long-term benefits of the CFTA. They think that these are some of the things that we should be doing.
Well,
do you agree?
Yeah. So that was what I was highlighting in the beginning or earlier, which is the fact that one, there are some benefits to the Afc Fta, the benefits, and there are some costs. The cost I mentioned is the loss of tariff revenue, which means that duties that customs would have collected from imports, in the case of Ghana, from outside Ghana or from outside ECOWAS would now be forgone. You would have to reduce the tariffs on them if they are from African countries that have ratified and show that they meet the origin criteria. So that is one. Secondly, of course, is the potential for competition from products from outside of Ghana. So those are like two of them. Two, let's say, costs. The benefits are the bigger market that we have. So, for example, manufacturers in Ghana have already under ECOWAS and access to about 350 million people market.
Yeah.
Now the AFCFTA is giving you 1.3 billion people, which is a market for all Africans.
Yes.
And anybody, provided they can prepare, they can understand the market, they can understand the rules, can take advantage of. So those are some of the benefits. And so if you look at these benefits and these costs, yes, there's a need for flexibility, and the agreement provides for that. The flexibility in the AFCFTA is that it gives different countries at different levels of development different time periods to reduce their tariffs. So, for example, those countries that have that are classified as least developed countries, they have the opportunity to liberalize their 90% over 10 years. And those countries that are classified as non-least developed countries have the opportunity to liberalize in 5 years. So that's a flexibility. Of course, within the AFCFTA and the African Union framework, there is an agreement between the Afri-Exim Bank and the AFCFTA that has developed an adjustment facility for African countries. It's a 10 billion total adjustment facility. Currently, it has about $1 billion in funding, which has been developed to support countries to adjust in terms of helping them through the revenue losses as they liberalize for trade.
All right, so I've been told by my production team to activate the phone lines, and the number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. With me in the studios tonight is Mr. Dodi Sedu. He's an after consultant with the Frontier Market Advisors. He says he is an after enthusiast. That was what he said. Yes, absolutely. All right. So we'll also be going into the inbox to bring some of your messages. I'll come to you, and then we'll continue whilst we anticipate some phone calls into the show. This one says, good evening, I am Port. Sincerely, I'm enjoying your chat with Mr. Ajete about the security of the port, and his responses are very superb. However, my concern is that it looks like he is projecting the Tema port, which is good, but my worry is, what about the Takoradi port? Well, it looks like everything is about Tema. It's high time you talk about Takoradi to market the port to the trading community. My name is Foda Eli Agotui, based in Takoradi. Thanks. All right, Foda Eli, we appreciate your message. You are well on point. We have space for the port of Takoradi as well, and so one of these days you will be hearing from the port security manager of the port of Takoradi as well. And so we are not, discriminating at all. We are not discriminating at all. So you are right. We take your message in our strides, and would ensure that the right thing is done. I am told Prince is calling us from Accra. Good evening, sir.
Enjoying your show, and I'm very much enthusiastic about this thing here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That being that I'm an exporter myself. I'm an agro producer and exporter.
Right.
And I wanted to find out if the gentleman can shed some light on it. When is this all going to take place? I mean, the AFTA was delayed for due to the pandemic, and then eventually it kicked in. But for some reason, it's not effective. I produce shea butter and black soap, and I ship all over Africa and also outside of Africa. And actually, it costs me more to send stuff within Africa than I send to Europe, Canada, or the US. So in terms of these duties and tariffs and logistical costs and all that, it will really, really help if AFTA just make up their mind and set a target date to say, look, maybe June 1st, 2022, once you are a signatory, it kicks in. And then we don't get all this, because if I ship my stuff to Kenya or South Africa, expecting to benefit from AFTA, I'm just going to lose my goods, and it will be, already we have issues with cheaper capital in Africa already.
Right.
So when is this going to be taking effect? The talking is just too much. The lip service needs to stop so that Africans can start to grow one another.
Very well. Point well articulated. Prince, we are grateful to you for your call. You want to perhaps profess some response, and I will continue.
Yes, thank you, Prince. I think I will agree with your recommendation that there should be a date. I would propose, first of all, a date for countries that have ratified and submitted a tariff offers to begin.
Right.
My recommendation will say something like, okay, once you ratify, we give you maybe up to 90 days to finish all your country processes so that we can start trading. That's not to say that it's as easy as it is. I think from his comment, you realize that there are other ancillary costs to trading in Africa. He mentioned things like logistics. He mentioned things, logistics is one of them, because if you're moving goods from here to South Africa or Kenya, I don't know which options you have as compared to established trading routes.
Yeah.
I would have called for patience from SMEs, but the other part of me says that trade cannot wait.
Right.
Because the opportunities are there. So it's up to Prince and the likes of the private sector, not just in Ghana, but other African countries, to put pressure on their governments, to make good their promises. Yes, people have ratified, people have done the paperwork, but even though there are quite a number of things to be done, we need to put pressure on them so that they can open up the market. And we should know that we're opening the market for others, and we are also opening our market to others. So as we open the market for Ghana, we should also be able to put pressure on other governments to open their markets for goods from Ghana as well.
Yeah, last week I had a discussion with some players in the maritime industry, and one thing that came to the fore was the fact that they are calling for investments into, water, marine, transport.
Yeah.
Vessels and all that.
Exactly.
We can have feeder vessels and all that. He made a significant point. That's Prince. He said it costs him a lot more to export to other African countries than to export to Europe or Asia, which shouldn't be the case.
Yes, it shouldn't be the case, but that is what the Afc Fta is trying to change.
Yeah.
You see, what we've had is kind of like a very old way of doing things. So we are making a change. Of course, we're not there yet, but it's coming gradually.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're going to be able to see the interest of foreign companies or African companies in providing logistics for the continent.
Right.
We're going to see relaxation of rules that pertain to, let's say, investments in logistics, investments in maritime, across the continent.
Absolutely.
These are the things that the Afc Fta is bringing along.
Right. Okay. All right. So this one says, may I know what currency is being used by member states? And after I have discovered the modality of the single currency for Africa, may I have your advice on who I should contact? This one's by Adam Smith from Pukwase.
So as we speak, Africa doesn't have a common currency. I understand there are about 42 currencies in Africa. Yes, there's been talk about a single currency or regional currencies like in ECOWAS to have the ECO. Those have not been materialized. What has been innovative with the Afc Fta has been the establishment of the Pan-African Payment System, which Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPSS. And this is to enable us to trade directly in our respective currencies without having to make conversions into dollars in particular. So that would be the interim, an interim solution. Maybe as we pick it up and we move, forward in trade, other currencies could come up. Maybe other dominant currencies on the continent could come up. But at this point, there is no single currency for the continent. We're using the Pan-African Payment System as a solution. Even though not every African country has signed up yet, I think the view is to be able to onboard many African countries, work with their central banks, and bring on board many other payment platforms, banks, private banks, so that they can become partners and facilitate payments on the continent.
Now, for people like Prince, the one who just called in, and the business people, the traders who are watching this show and want to expand their scope or reach under this particular after they want to venture into it, what should they be doing?
So I would tell every business person that they should prepare. How should they prepare? Number one, Afc Fta is providing the opportunity to trade in other markets. So find those markets. It's not the Afc Fta that will find the markets for you. You have to find those markets. You have to find those business partners. You have to find ways and means of entering those markets. It's just that the Afc Fta is reducing the barriers for you. So that is the preparation you need. 2, you need to understand the market rules. The market rules, the domestic market rules, and of course, the rules of origin rules, especially for those who want to trade in merchandise. So for example, like Prince who wants to send agro products to cosmetic products, you need to understand the rules of origin in particular. Secondly, yes, you need to prepare in the context of obtaining finance. Going into the international trade requires some significant financing because you will need to send products before you get payments. All these things you need to get. Of course, don't forget to do your homework, your due diligence on partners. Don't forget to understand contracts and how they are made, and then give yourself, like we're saying now, the agreement hasn't effectively started in trading, even though tariff reduction has started. But give yourself maybe a year or 2 to get all these groundwork done. Then, hopefully, by that time, you can be able to export goods to those markets. Send goods, send samples, get them displayed in shops in other markets. Get feedback. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend everybody to approach it in a grand style, like test the market, see how the market responds to your products, and then work it out.
Right. This one says, when is the AFTA going to take effect? There needs to be a set date, and every country that is signatory should open up. The lip service is too much. This one sounds more like Prince.
Yes. I wouldn't call it the lip service. I think what I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to clarify, is that one, countries is a process. You ratify, you sign, you ratify, and then you have to submit your schedule of tariff concessions. These are not easy processes. So, for example, within ECOWAS, which Ghana is part of, we have 6,000 product lines, okay? And you have to kind of like take about 5,500 of them and work on, with whether it's Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, discuss and come to finality as to how much you are reducing on each product, and determine which products within your country or within your region are sensitive, which when you allow import and export on them, it could affect your domestic industry. You have to decide on which ones you exclude from trade, which ones you place higher tariffs on. So these are not simple processes. That is why I am not too hard on it, but I agree with the point that we should be able to come up with like a modality to say, when you ratify, like for example, when you ratify within your country, it takes 30 days to submit your articles of ratification. So when you do that, that is a time period. So we could also say that once you submit your articles of ratification, we'll give you maybe 60 days to submit your schedule of tariff concessions, and then maybe 90 days to start trading. Things like that. I think that would be a very good process towards actually bringing to fruition. So that, like he said, it's not the speeches, the talk, but it is, there's kind of like a rollout program for getting the FCFTA for each country.
Right. All right. So I just want to find out from you, what do you think about getting people who perhaps are sitting on the fence and feeling, not enthusiastic, they are skeptical about this whole arrangement. What would you tell them to perhaps engender some kind of interest in them?
Well, I don't know why anybody will not be interested. I mean, I've been at this work for some time. If I say I've been at this work for some time, as a trade, I'm a trade professional. I observe what is happening in the trade space. For example, many years ago, I was working on Ghana's national AGOA strategy, the Africa Growth Opportunities Act of the US.
Yes.
And we noticed a lack of knowledge by the private sector of the trade opportunities in America. I mean, it surprised me. And then we'll go and do sensitization. We'll go and talk to people, say, look, the US market is waiting for, let's say, tuna products from Ghana or chili products from Ghana or any, horticultural products, whether it's mangoes or pineapples. That market is waiting. But of course, if we are not taking advantage of these markets, the same thing other people will take advantage of. So, for example, we have countries from South America who understand the US market, who are taking advantage of it. So, those who are not interested, the market will not wait for you. Other people will take it. For example, Ghana has ratified an agreement with the EU, the EU Economic Partnership Agreement with Ghana. It's an opportunity waiting for people who would like to export to the EU. Similarly, we have a Ghana-UK partnership. And then now we have the Afc Fta. What I'm saying is that please don't sit on the fence. It's like being a spectator at a football match. The game is open for everybody. It's open for every business to come in, at least attempt to understand the market opportunities, attempt to understand the requirements, attempt to understand what it would take for me to enter these markets. And if at the point of understanding you feel you are not ready, go and do your homework.
Right.
But to sit and be skeptical, no. You see, even the Afc Fta, I tell people, there are certain sectors that have already seen the light, the opportunities of the Afc Fta. For example, if you take businesses that are into, let's say, manufacturing and assembling, high value and manufacturing and assembly, they understand this. So they're setting up business hubs. They're setting up hubs in other countries or in other parts of Africa so that they can pick products and raw material. That's one advantage of the Afc Fta. The Afc Fta is giving us the opportunity to pick raw materials from other African countries, manufacture them, and export them back into Africa. So those who understand this are already taking advantage of that. They are already putting up branches or assembly plants. They are not even in a hurry in terms of trying to maybe begin manufacturing. They are putting up maybe a first step, assembly plant, and then build up on it. And then once they build a skill set, they can find raw materials nearby. They'll begin to manufacture and export back into. So I would say to anybody who is listening that if you are a business person who has been able to take advantage of the Ghanaian market, you have a product that is unique, duly registered with GSA, FDA, please get ready for Afc Fta and don't sit on the fence.
Now, I just wanted to tell us our performance so far. We've been told Ghana, has blazed the trail. We are far ahead and all that. But to the ordinary man or trader or exporter, businessman who's out there, he would believe that after can only do well, or he can only say after is doing well when he's able to export freely, to member states and all that. I mean, all the other processes can be administrative, they can be technical. He doesn't care. What he wants to do is to get his goods or products across and make the money. And so what would you say? Because we're told that one or two companies were able to ship outside, to neighboring and after. And since then, we haven't heard anything again. What is our performance so far? Since the inception?
Yes. So in terms of our performance, I would speak from my interactions with people, whether with the Ministry of Trade and Industry or those in the Afc Fta. So what I know is that number one, we are for exporting from Ghana. We are generally ready. We are able to export. We have an integrated custom system. We have an Afc Fta strategy under development, which has identified some products of Ghana origin that have high potential for the African market. So that is a very significant step. I've heard of conversations where the government is attempting to identify a number of products and businesses that are already exporting to other parts of the world and could consider the African market. So those are some of the things that the country is doing. So the challenge for Ghanaian businesses now would be those out where you are exporting to, how ready they are. So I'll really encourage people who are looking to export to any specific country to do their homework, to first find out if those countries have ratified. So, for example, if I'm targeting Kenya, the first question is, has Kenya ratified? Yes, Kenya has ratified. Second question is, has Kenya submitted tariff concessions? Yes. Then now you find out from through you can use and let me say this, it's not part of the conversation, but some of us here in Ghana in particular, we've also not really taken advantage of some of the institutions that we have. For example, we have a Ghana Export Promotion Authority. We have embassies in some of these countries, African countries. They have trade attaches. That's their job. The job is to facilitate trade for Ghanaian made in Ghana products. So we have to reach out to them. We have to knock on their doors. We have to find out what opportunities there are. The Afc Fta itself has the MANSA, MANSA repository, which is to help us to find out market opportunity. We have the Afc Fta Trade Observatory.
Right.
These are all tools. So I think I'm not trying to finish my statement, but I think that people have a wrong impression that the Afc Fta will solve their problems. No, the Afc Fta, in layman speaking, is an agreement with institutions to make it work. But the entrepreneurial aspect of a business person should not be lost on us.
Right.
You should still make the steps. You should still go through the opportunities. You should still, participate in fairs, trade fairs, exhibitions, conferences, network, look for business partners, find out what the cost is, do your homework. So it's not the agreement itself that would do this for you. You have to take these steps.
Absolutely.
And so back to the question about preparation. So we have this effort by the government to identify some businesses that have exported and help them. Of course, that is underway. I mentioned that there's an Afc Fta strategy underway. Of course, that connects with our National Export Development Strategy, which also identifies some of the things. But those are all the government's thinking. And of course, with inputs from the private sector. What I'm saying is that business people are the ones who are going to actually make it happen. Business are the ones who test the market and come back to government and say, government, I took products to this country and I faced this challenge. I went here trying to export this product and they didn't have Afc Fta. Can you help me?
Right.
If we don't test it, if we are sitting on the fence like the word you used, we will not be able to know the practicalities of exporting. It's the same thing, even if it's the US or the EU. People have to try the market. It's when they try the market that they find the logistics providers, they find service providers, they find freight forwarders. Before now, they know their way to the market. So those things must be done.
Right. So finally, I just want to find out from you whether we have the numbers with respect to businesses that have exported under AFTA in Ghana. Like I mentioned, the inception, we knew it was 1 or 2 Casapreco and some other companies.
Yes. So I don't have the numbers. I know from my last discussion with the institution in charge, I think about 100 companies or so have registered.
Okay.
But that is just the first step. The registration is the first step. Of course, every business that registers would move on to have inspections being done on your facility to find out the source of your raw materials, and then you can apply for certificate of origin. But I also know that in the coming weeks or so, through a couple of other agencies, there's going to be a training for registered exporters. So those people who have registered to export under Afc Fta will be given some capacity building so that they can understand what the market requires. They can understand the processes to export under Afc Fta.
Right. All right. We'll say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Dodi Seidu, who is AFTA consultant with the Frontier Market Advisors. We've been discussing the tariff reduction, under AFTA and what it will impact the ratified countries and what we start to gain going forward. Indeed, he says some 43 countries have already ratified out of 54, and that's a very good number and a good start. We wish that things would progress steadily, and then we shall zoom into action fully as far as AFTA is concerned. Like I said, the businessman is waiting to export freely without any hassle and make the money, and that's when he would be very certain that yes, AFTA is actually in place. Thank you very much indeed for coming. One interest I have is the development of the AFTA strategy that you mentioned. I mean, next time I think we can have a discussion on that and see where we are at the moment. We'd like to say a big thanks to our sponsors, Goyle Company Limited, Ghana Revenue Authority, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services. The show is powered by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. Remember, the abridged version is aired on Ghana Television every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Make a date and watch that. My name is Kennedy Mona. I wish you all the best and have a super week ahead.